دایی یه فرصت خوب حالا پشت مدافع خداداد عزیزی توی دروازه گل برای ایران خداداد عزیزی باز هم روی زمین گشت سردار آزمون و توی دروازه سردار آزمون گل به نام آزمون و برای ایران
بزنه کریم انصاری گل توی دروازه کریم انصاری دروازه پرتغال باز شد
علی دایی سام توپ توی دروازه
گل اشتباه حرکت از کوچان نژاد فرصت برای کوچان نژاد توی دروازه گل برای ایران.
And welcome back to Gholizadeh podcast. My name's Arya Allahverdi. Really pleased to have you all here with us for our 197th episode. We're going to be analysing the Iran against UAE match, which ended 2-1 to Team Melli. They're also now in the in the second round, which they will be facing Syria. So we'll come on to that later on in the episode. But today we've got two special guests for this episode. We have Arya Nourizadeh at 29 United. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you on. Obviously, Arya, you're part of Gholizadeh. You've been doing our videos and whatnot. But also you have your own podcast. You have your own podcast with Irfan. Can you just quickly go through that?
Yeah, so my friend Irfan and he's also on the Gholizadeh podcast. Yeah, we decided to make sort of an Asian football podcast all around, not just showcasing Iranian football, but just the whole continent. And we're on Spotify, on YouTube. If you guys want to check us out, it's the Asian Football Show. And we'll be pleased to have you guys there.
Excellent. And another special guest we have today is a good friend of ours, UEFA A license coach based in Sweden. Lots of knowledge, lots of experience. Benjamin Nassiri. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me here. It's going to be fun.
Good to have you on, Benjamin. Really appreciate your time. Okay, let's start off then. First of all, Iran had their last Group C match. They won Group C. That's 3 wins out of 3. 9 points on the board, which is what we were expecting from Team Melli in this group. That means UAE finished second and Palestine finished third in that group. All those 3 teams have gone up to this round of 16. Let's speak about the first half. Iran comfortably controlled the game. I don't think UAE had a lot of pressure. We'll come on to UAE in a second. I want to start with you, Benjamin, regarding Azmoun. In the first half, we saw him miss quite a few kind of clear chances, and in the second half as well, where he missed a very big chance in that kind of 85th minute. What did you think of his kind of lack of his goal scoring threat in the full game?
Yeah, of course, as you said, he missed a few chances, but I think like you have to switch the focus as well, because he comes to the chances. You know, a striker needs to come to the chances in every game. I would be more concerned if he didn't get the chances, but of course, like he has a tendency in these games, especially to miss those big chances. I remember when I was watching the 2018 World Cup, I was in St. Petersburg. It was the same thing against Morocco. You know, when he gets the big scoring chances, he's not clinical, but I think in the end, you know, when you see a striker who comes to the chances, he creates chances, and of course his playing style is he runs a lot. He runs a lot. It creates fatigue for a player. You maybe don't have the sharpness in those situations, because often when he gets those chances, he has a big run before that. You know what I mean? It's like a 20-30 meter run, and then he's probably a little bit tired. Those mental aspects as well. You know, when you're tired, you don't have that sharpness in your technique.
Thanks for that, Benjamin. Arya, on that as well. Obviously, you know, a couple of times he got the assist though for Taremi. What do you think of Azmoun's performance?
I mean, it was his first start, right? He was slightly injured, but nevertheless, I wasn't expecting him to contribute directly. I think he did still quite well. I would say he's been Iran's one of his best players for sure. And what I want to say is, listen, it's okay if we, do this against teams like the UAE and Hong Kong with all due respect, right? But when it comes to teams like Japan, South Korea, Saudi, these sort of teams, you can't miss these chances. You've got to be clinical. You've got to put these in the back of the net, because if we don't, we're going to get punished. And we've seen if I remember well from Azmoun is, I remember against Wales actually, there was this one chance he had, and I think he hit the post, was it? So those type of chances, they don't come often. He's got to be more clinical, because we're gonna get punished if he doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I think, the kind of first half, you got a header opportunity from Qudus's corner, kind of hit it over the bar. Second half, he was through on goal and he hit it wide. Look, Osmone's a very key player for us, regardless of whether he missed chances or not. He got fantastic assists for Taremi. We'll come on to in a second. But before we do that, I want to speak about Gholizadeh, his impact on this game. Ali Gholizadeh had a fantastic game. Again, it's actually his first appearance in the Asian Cup. Didn't even get subbed on against Palestine and Hong Kong. He played very well. He had great link up play with Qaidi, with Qudus, with Moharrami on the right hand side, who again we'll come on to as well. As you've got his kick there in the background, Arya. No one can see it. It's just me on the screen, but you can explain it in a second, Arya. But yeah, Gholizadeh's impact on the game was very, very impressive. I thought there were times where you can kind of understand why Queiroz chose to play him in the World Cup ahead of Jahanbakhsh. I think Gholizadeh, even though he's been out for a very serious injury for a long time, hasn't played a lot of football in Poland with Lech Poznan, but you can still see his quality. And I really like the combination of Qaidi and Gholizadeh on the wings. I think they give great balance, but also firepower going forward. Benjamin, any thoughts on that? Gholizadeh's performance?
No, as he said, I think he and Radi was really good, especially in the first half. I think the first half from against UAE was good, and to keep on going on the Azmoun thing with Gholizadeh, that in the first half, if you look at the game from a defensive perspective, you can see that Azmoun, Gholizadeh, Qaidi, Rodos, Ezatollahi, Taremi, they lock the UAE's build-up play all the time. That creates like for Azmoun, he works really hard in locking and locking on one side. So I think like we tend to speak a lot about the offensive impact players have. Gholizadeh has really good offensive impact, but defensively, first half when I watched the game and I watched it over again, you can see in the first half we lock them down all the time and create like a flow of the game that makes that we can dominate the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think you're right. Defensively, they were very solid. Very, very solid, especially as you say, from the front line going backward. Arya, he got a goal. What is it there? It was disallowed for obviously offside by a kneecap, or maybe even not a kneecap, maybe the skin of his kneecap. Um, and it was almost an assist for Housafi. What do you think of Gholizadeh's performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. In another game, maybe it would have been given as a goal. And we're gonna talk about some of the things that happened in the game later on. But I think he was a breath of fresh air. I know people within the Iranian football space have been screaming for Gholizadeh to start or just get some minutes. And I think with this performance that he just provided us with, I think he needs to start every game now. I think he's done a lot more than his compatriot, Mr. Alireza Jahanbakhsh, which I don't want to get too harsh on him. But I think he's shown who he is, what he does, and if he continues like that, then we'll get very good, very successful with him, for sure.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Gholizadeh does in the rest of the tournament. I'm glad that he got a bit of a rest actually the first two games now, because he seems to be ready now to go to the next rounds. Want to move on to Taremi's first goal. Again, Gholizadeh was involved in the first goal, like the little pass to Azmoun, who played a great kind of outside of the foot, Ibrahimovic style through ball into Taremi, who just placed it into the bottom corner. Arya, when you look at that goal, look at the kind of again the impact of Gholizadeh on the goal, Osman's assist, the link-up play, the one-touch passing. Does that make you excited for the following rounds?
Yeah, of course, of course. If Gholizadeh, Azmoun, and Taremi can link up like that, they can always do it against some of the teams that we're going to be playing against for sure. They're a threat, right? And I think the national teams that we're going to be playing, Bahrain or Japan, whatever, I think they're going to be aware of that. So it's just a question of can they do it against the bigger opposition? Because that's ultimately what's the most important. And like you said, that Osman's just he's that guy. Like you don't expect him to always do these type of things, but when he does, it usually does work, which is why he's so impressive sometimes. And his pass was very similar to one of the goals that was done at Roma. I don't remember who scored. I think it was Lukaku, maybe. I don't remember. But he's just that guy who's very sneaky sometimes. He does those sort of passes that the opposition won't really try to calculate. And if it does work, then yeah, it's devastating for sure.
Yeah, what do you think of the timing of the run, Benjamin, as well from Taremi? That kind of because it was a little bit of it was quick passing. You need to be clever to time the run. What did you think about that from that sense?
Yeah, I think that the whole goal, if you look at from the beginning, it's pure quality. It starts with the long ball from UAE that we force, and we win the ball in a first duel, and then from that it's pure quality. It's Gholizadeh, Azmoun, and Taremi, and in that moment you can see the quality that Taremi has as a player. Maybe what compares him to Azmoun, as a striker, because he's the timing in the run, he has the clinical finishing, it's and awareness to know, he understands when Azmoun put his foot on the ball that now I go. It's a beautiful football goal.
Yeah, great finish by Taremi. Actually, his first goal of the Asian Cup opens the scoring. Obviously, he got a brace in this game as well. But a little bit of sad news is that Sadegh Moharrami did get injured in this game. Yeah, and the news has now came out that he ruptured his ACL, his anterior cruciate ligament, which puts him out for quite a long time. We don't want to be too speculative, but it could be for something maybe 6 to 9 months. These injuries we've seen them for many years now in football and other sports as well. And cruciate ligament injuries tend to be quite serious and take a lot of time to recover from. I think Moharrami was playing very well in this game. I thought he was having a great performance. He's had a good Asian Cup actually. He's had a good performance in every game that he's played against Palestine, especially. And it's sad to see him go off because I think what he gives us is great pace on the wide areas, good pace in recovery, defending, and also great quality, great dribbler, great ball carrier. And we don't quite have that right now. I don't think Ramin is a great ball carrier. He's a great technical player, but I wouldn't consider him a dribbler of the ball. I wouldn't consider Hossein a dribbler of the ball. Moharrami was that, and unfortunately, we've lost that now in a fullback. Benjamin, what do you make of this injury? Is it going to be a very serious one for us?
Yeah, of course. It's an ACL injury is always uh, a big injury for a football player. It's a long recovery time. I myself had one when I played. I know what they go through. It's devastating for a football player because it's their life. But I wish him all the best in the recovery, and he hopefully gets like the best help he can get. And for the national team now, it's like we lost a player that's really important for the team. The team, what I have seen, they stand behind him and are good teammates because the spirit of the team seems really good. Of the pictures you can see, like
Yeah.
on social media, but they need to now focus on how they can use the other players. Ramin is not the same player. It's not the same player, but we need to use his strengths in the upcoming games on a good way.
Yeah, you mentioned Ramin, Arya coming to you. There was pictures shown of teammates helping Ramin Rezaeian get ready. Putting his shin guard on, someone tying his laces, someone taking his bib off. Arya, what did you make of that? It's great team spirit.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's great team spirit. It's always something that you want to see. It shows that this team is, with everything that's been going on with this team for the last few months or years, they're still unified, which is very important to see. But speaking of Moharrami, like you guys have already said everything. I think it's a huge blow. I mean, he's in the back right here. Unfortunately, he's not there anymore. But it in my opinion, I don't think it could have happened to a worse player for us because in some way, yeah, we do have Ramin Rezaeian, which is fully capable of replacing Sadegh Moharrami.
And we have Arya Yousefi as well,
Yeah,
who's in the squad.
But at the same time, I think everyone was expecting now that Sadegh was the one starting against teams like Japan or Korea and such, because I personally don't want to see Ramin starting against those type of teams. I think Sadegh is much more suited for that role, but we've lost that now, right? And one of my favorite phrases is we're just going to have to wait and see, really. There's nothing we can say or do because Ramin is going to start every game. I don't think Arya Yousefi is going to even have a sniff at at any game, unfortunately.
Again, it depends on injuries, that's the thing. So I'm glad that we have a backup for that. So moving on, a little bit on the UAE. They didn't give a lot of pressure to us in the first half. They were very passive. Didn't seem to want to get on the front foot. But in the second half, they kind of turned it on a little bit. They came to life a bit more in the second half, and it happened that we gave away a penalty. From Kanaani's foul on Yahya Al-Ghassani, who obviously scored the last minute goal. But in that situation, Arya, what do you make of Kanaani defending, giving away the penalty?
If you guys have followed me on Twitter, and Arya, you know this, I'm Kanaani's number one hater. I can't stand this guy. Okay, he's not good enough, man. He does a lot of silly mistakes. It's not his first time. It's not his last time. He's done it in the last Asian Cup. He's done it every time, right? And I don't understand what Amir Ghanouchi sees in him that's so viable for him to start. I don't get it. Listen, he's not the worst defender I've seen, but when you see that a guy like him, is shaky at the back and he's making these sort of mistakes, why would you start him? Because again, like I said, we got away against the UAE. But if we do that against the bigger teams, it's not going to pass.
I think it's unfair to say that he's not a good defender. I think he's a good defender. I think he has proven that, especially in our last qualification. He did have good performances. But what I will say with Kanaani is this season, he hasn't played a lot for Persepolis. He's been on the bench, he hasn't played a lot of football. So I think he does look a little bit rusty, Benjamin.
I analyze the goal, and when I see the situation that happens before the penalty, it's like you see Kanaani and Ramin, they don't shift over well enough. This goal can be prevented like 5-6 seconds earlier, but now they need to react on the danger. It's shifting over.
I think you're right.
It's not good enough.
I think you're right, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but
yeah.
I think it's not just Kanaani. I think it is the rest of the team. It's a team effort. This defensive, we have to make sure that as a team we're defending well, right?
Exactly. So if you have I don't know if I can share my screen. You can see in the picture, like we have Ramin and Kanaani over here. It's like it's not tight enough in this situation. You can see the rest of the team quite tight. It's like 10 meters you can take here for the both guys, and I think that penalty situation wouldn't never happened, to be honest, because it's like he needs to force himself in the run to reach the guy. This is too long of a distance. Like a football field is 60 meters, 65 meters in the width, and 10 meters more from the both guys. I think this situation would be solved.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right in that. I
And
think
and
I
this is the
think
small details, like when you play the big teams.
yeah.
When you do this right, this situations not does not occur.
And I think that that's one of the kind of issues that we have right now with Ramin is that we don't think he's quite quick enough to recover in defense. I think when Moharrami was very quick to recover and he got in he got close to his centre back or his Kanaani or Gholizadeh, whoever is playing, but you can see in that situation he's lagging behind, he's not in shape. So these are really important that hopefully and they're working on it in training and making sure that
Yeah.
they're coming across as a unit. Um, let's move on to the next topic, which is the instant goal from Taremi. Straight away, a couple of minutes later, from that situation, Taremi scores. Great cut out by Azmoun from the bad pass from the UAE defense. Through ball and Taremi first time finish into the roof of the net. Arya.
Like you mentioned, it was a brilliant finish. I would like to see more of that. I'm very happy that Taremi sort of woke up in that game. For the simple fact that is everything okay?
I forgot to speak about the Berelman save. Let's come back to that for a second. Sorry about that, Ario.
Oh,
Yeah, so obviously it was a penalty by VAR, and Berelman saved it. Simple as that. It reminded us of the Ronaldo penalty against European against Portugal in 2018 World Cup. Great save. Got down really early. Put it in a safe area. And that's it. There's nothing else you can really add about that. I thought it was a great save. Got, reacted really early, and made us stay in the game. And as you're saying, Arya, go on. The goal happened.
yeah, Taremi scored. Instant response, a brilliant pass by Azmoun again. When I was saying he's that type of sneaky guy, I mean, I don't think anyone was really expecting him to pass. I think a lot of people were expecting him to shoot. Great pass to Taremi, who had a brilliant finish. I'm very happy to see Taremi back. He wasn't really the best against Palestine. He was okay. Against Hong Kong, he was nowhere to really be seen. But to be fair, that was the whole team. But yeah, instant response. Came back against UAE, had a brilliant game. And I hope that will now, boost his confidence and such. Because, on the topic of Taremi, he hasn't been the best this season, even at Porto. If that's because of external affairs and whatnot, I mean, there's the whole transfer rumor stuff that I don't think we should get into. But he hasn't been the best this season. I think it's fair to say. So it's always nice to see him have a really good game because it seems that nowadays it's pretty rare to see that, unfortunately.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Taremi, he could be away to Inter Milan in the summer. Benjamin, what do you make of the second goal and also the penalty saved by Bergwijn?
First of all, penalty save is always a penalty save for a goalkeeper. It's a big moment for it, and it kept us in the game. It changed the dynamics of the game, and when Taremi scored the second one, it was a beautiful goal. He shows what a great finisher he is. Like two types of finishing in this game. It's for me really important that these guys like Taremi creates points in the game, scores goals, assists, because he's a threat, and the longer you go in a tournament, he's gonna get more attention. It's gonna open up space for other players as well. So it's important that we have our key players scoring goals because it's gonna in the end create space for other players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great goal. 2-0. And we moved on. We thought it was going to be 3-0. At the time, Mohebi's goal was disallowed by VAR for a foul. I mean, to be honest with you, if that's a foul, like, I don't know, like we're not playing a comp a sport that's got contact in it. It's like a non-contact sport nowadays, with that being as a foul situation like that where a player is running through, the player kind of stops and hits him. I don't see how that can be a foul in the rule book. That for me, that's not a foul. If he was purposefully trying to get him out the way, then yes. But when it's a standing player, and you run into him when you're in full speed or when you're not really facing him, to me, that's not a foul. I think the referees made a big mistake there, and they made a couple of mistakes in this game. To be fair, they made a couple of I think mistakes. I think the penalty was a penalty, but I think other than that, I think they did make some mistakes. But this one was wrong, was for sure wrong. Benjamin, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, it's unbelievable how they disallow that goal. It's like when you see that even on the VAR, like I can't understand how they disallowed it. You know, if the situation would be different, that the UAE guy stand and our guy fall in that run, they would never give a penalty, never. So for me, it's not a free kick either. So it's unbelievable.
You can see Mohebi was distraught. He was begging the referee not to change it. Arya, what I mean, it's a great goal, but what did you think of the foul given by the VAR?
I think you guys have pretty much said anything. It wasn't a foul. I don't understand where the ref got that from. It was very, very poor officiating. Feels bad for Mohebi as well, who worked hard to get that goal. He did grind a lot to get that. I just hope we're not gonna see these types of things in future games, especially as we're getting into the knockout stages where stuff like this can cost us.
Well,
Um,
Arya, come back to the last Asian Cup in 2019. We played against Japan. There was a goal, a penalty given for a handball on Purali Ganji. If you remember, he was falling over and his hand hit the ball, and he was basically trying to break his fall with his hand, and the ball hit his hand as he was breaking his fall, which to me can never be given as a penalty. And actually, I asked about that same situation when I was on a referee course good few years ago, and I asked the course tutor, who's a professional referee himself, if that was a foul, and he said absolutely not. So there you go. I tried to get a second opinion, and I don't think so. Hopefully, as you mentioned, these things don't aren't a big occurrence for us in the knockout stages. Um, but coming on to the last thing I want to speak about in this game is obviously that last minute goal from Al Ghassani. Again, poor defending as a unit, but also the 1v1 defending from Kanaani. He got too square. Got he wasn't defending side on. He wasn't really forcing the defender onto his weaker side. He let him inside, and he scored a great goal. Arya.
yeah, it was poor defending. I actually turned off the game at that point because I had to go to school, but saw a notification. I was like, oh wow, okay, they actually did score. And then I was rushing onto Twitter to see what goal it was. I was very disappointed. I mean, it wasn't great defending. Hopefully it gets rectified in future games because I think Benalvan was very, very distraught too when that happened. I was shouting on to the players. It's never a goal you want to see, and it's never a goal that you want to concede as a team. So, um, what else really is there to say? It was poor defending, and unfortunately, we see a lot of that nowadays with Team Melli.
Benjamin?
Yeah, I agree. It's poor defending, and these are the type of details. Like the longer you go in a tournament, this type of details you can't afford. You know, it's like you play the better teams in the tournament. You maybe get one chance, two chances in the game, and you can't allow one or two chances to the opponents.
Yeah, I just want to say that I did predict us to win the game 2-1. I did say in the pre-match spaces that we will concede a goal, and we did concede, which it was again, and no, it wasn't a great goal to concede, but luckily it was a last kick of the game. And that finished. Iran qualified for the second round of 16. They're going to play against Syria on the 31st of January, 7 p.m. local time in Qatar. Syria, the team we've played twice in the last World Cup qualification. We beat them 1-0 at home, and I think it was 3-0 away from home. A team who have only scored one goal in the Asian Cup against India in their last game. They won that game 1-0. They lost 1-0 to Australia. and they drew 0-0 with Uzbekistan. They finished third place in their group. Benjamin, what do you make of this game?
Yeah, but if I look at the last game against UAE, I think like if we can be consistent in the game plan, because I think the first half is good. I think the first half is good. The last game we can be consistent. If we can have a little bit more patience, because I think a team like Syria obviously is gonna try to counterattack us in a game, because they know that we are a strong team. When they know that we are one of the big teams in Asia. Because the second half for me, the last game is like we open up for a game that creates a lot of energy wasting in runs. But if we can be consistent in like 70, 75 minutes, I think we're going to be 2-0 up until then, because we have better players. I think we are far way better team, but we always know in tournaments you have a team like Syria in this case. They want to disturb the rhythm of the game. They want to create the counterattacks. They want to get free kicks, corners to have the chance to push up the team. We see that the last game, like when we play good in the first half, it's maybe one or two counters for UAE. I don't think they have a shot on goal. So for me, it's about being consistent in the playing, and not like try to do the other things, because sometimes it goes too fast. We don't have the patience to do a switch, because when we switched UAE, we killed them. When we lost the ball high, we counter pressed them and won the ball easily in the first half. So I think like working towards like develop the things that worked good, and of course take away the mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Arya, have you been watching the Syria games?
I've watched the India game.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair to Syria, right? They're not a horrible team. We should be winning this game relatively easy. Like Benjamin said, we need to be consistent. That's the most important part. I don't want this to be like a Hong Kong thing where we go out there and create two chances and then try to score something and then just set out the back or something. I don't want that to happen. Syria are missing Omar Al Soma, which is arguably their most important player. He hasn't been called up to the squad for whatever reason. They do have Omar Khabin, who actually doesn't even start the games. He starts on the bench for whatever reason. Again, very strange little selections from the manager. Um, um, Other than that, I think it's a much weaker Syrian team that we've faced in the past. So I wouldn't worry too much. But again, when it comes to Team Melli, you always have to worry in some sort of way. So I'm expecting us to breeze through them relatively easy, but again, you have to be consistent and obviously not to underestimate them, just like we did with Hong Kong, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be an interesting. I think Syria is not a bad team in Asia. They're not probably in the same level as like UAE, for example. A team that we should beat, but you never know. We've had bad performances, I'm sure, against Syria in the past, and it could happen again. And actually, in the last time we played it in the round of 16, we played against Oman in 2019 Asian Cup, and if you remember, Majid Hossein gave away a penalty, won the game, but it was a very close game. It wasn't a comfortable win for Iran. So we have to be ready to play. And also Kanaani will be suspended for this game as well. So Arya's giving all that. But the reality is Majid Hossein is also injured. So who do we play in defense? Is it going to be someone Fallah? Is it going to be Ruza Cheshmi with Gholizadeh in defense if Majid can't get fit for this game? And I'm not comfortable with Cheshmi in defense alongside Gholizadeh. Personally, I want to see the same lineup against the UAE. Obviously, Moharrami can't play, so Ramin will naturally replace him. Kanaani being suspended, another change in defense is not what you want. As you know, Benjamin, from coaching experience, you don't want to change too many in the defense, but we have to. We're forced to do this, injuries and suspensions. So Ramin comes in. Who comes in for for Kanaani, Benjamin? Who do you think should start?
I think Chesney is going to play. I think that like it's the easy way out for a coach. You know, he's more experienced. I think that's going to be the option Ralonoi chooses. Maybe it's not the best option, but I think he's going to go for, like, you know, he has been in a World Cup. He's more experienced. So I think that's going to be in his favor to start in this game.
Yeah, we saw him go there in the Hong Kong game in defense. For me, I just don't think he has the pace to play in defense. I don't think he has a place to play in midfield either. I don't think he has a pace to play anywhere on a pitch in football. But unfortunately, he's in the squad, and he's one of the options to play at centre back. Saman Falla, Arya, I don't know if you know too much about him. Would you play him?
Yeah, I know him a lot. I'm excited. He's a good talent, young talent. I wouldn't mind watching Fallo play. I don't think he's going to play. I think it's going to be Cheshmi. I think everyone's expecting that, but it would be cool. I mean, we've had this whole rant about why Mehdi doesn't play his youngsters, but like at this point, why even call up players like Yusufi and Fallo if you're not going to play them, even against teams like Hong Kong's and such, right? Obviously, Hasbavi is not even in the squad. That's very controversial. Or you know more than me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see Fallo play at all. I would love to see him play for a few minutes, but realistically, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, I think again it comes back to he shot himself in the foot with the squad because again, look at this squad. We had an injury to Majid Hosseini, so automatically we need to play Cheshmi in defense. So that means we have now four centre backs. Yes, Cheshmi can be a four, but now we've only got three centre midfielders. Because now we've only got Omid Ibrahim on the bench. If someone gets injured, or if Izzatullah gets injured, Omid Ibrahim comes on. We got no one on the bench to play midfield. So it's like numerically this squad, especially in terms of midfielders, was completely wrong. Like he should have called up an Ali Karimi just in case, because now we only have again three midfielders. One of them is a 36-year-old guy who may get injured, for instance. So numerically, the call-up list was really bad in that sense. And also the fact, as you mentioned, you could have called up a fifth centre back rather than calling up Asadi, for instance. You could have called up Hasbavi rather than Asadi, and now you've got an extra player, and then you don't have to play Cheshmi in defense. You keep him as a midfielder, if you need him in midfield. So I think it was just a completely wrong numerical decision when the coaching staff chose a squad, and now it's proving itself. And I was going on about it for a long time when the squad got announced that this could happen, and it's happening. So this shows a lack of experience by the coaching staff, big lack of experience. And they didn't now they have to deal with the issues of that. Predictions, guys, for this game, Arya?
Against Syria, I think it'll be 2-0, 3-0, I would say.
Benjamin?
I say 2-0.
I'm gonna stick with 2-1 again. I think we will concede a goal. I don't see us comfortably getting through this game without conceding, especially again with the change in defense. I think we will concede, but I think 2 to 3 goals. I think we will score as well. I think Azmoun-Taremi look in good form right now. Okay, so that's the second round. What happens going forward if Iran do win? Hoping Iran do win. In the other side of things, we have obviously Japan against Bahrain. Whoever wins that game, looking like to be Japan most likely. Iran will play Japan in the quarterfinals. We thought it was going to be South Korea, but South Korea didn't do too well, and they're on the other side of the pyramid, or of the knockout stages. Japan is now the team that we're going to face in the quarterfinals. We already knew we were going to face a good team in the quarterfinals, but we're going to get Japan rather than South Korea. Benjamin, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, as I said, you always face a good team in the quarterfinals, and I thought as well as that it would be South Korea, but Japan, like, and South Korea is quite even teams, not form-wise at the moment, but in playing styles, quite similar teams. I think it's going to be a tough game. You know, in these type of games, you can't do these small mistakes that we do, because it can punish. You can be punished so easily in these type of games because they have a lot of quality in the team.
Arya, obviously you got a connection to Japan yourself. You've been there. Also, South Korea, you know, they did really poorly against Malaysia. I mean, 3-3. You know, but we're getting Japan now. What do you think of that game? If we play
Maybe,
them, obviously
yeah.
it might be Bahrain. You never know. Could be
Mhm.
Bahrain. You never know.
Listen, I mean, if we face Bahrain, then it's good, right? But in the case that we do face Japan, which we probably will, unfortunately, I think that's going to be at the end of our journey. Um, why does it have to be Japan? I don't know why. Like, why does it have to be Japan? Like, out of all the countries, why does it have to be the best one? To be fair to us, Japan. I mean, I've watched all three of the games. They haven't been like as dominant as I think everyone expected them to be. They struggled against Vietnam. They struggled. Well, they lost against Iraq. And in that last game against there was Indonesia, they did concede a goal. Moriyasu has a lot of blood in his hands for his squad selection. The Japanese football fans are not happy with his selection. They've got a weak point, and the weak point is their goalkeeper, and their defense has been shaky too. The way Iraq scored against Japan was using headers. That's how Ayman Hussein got his goals. So we're the tallest team. That's a fact. We're the tallest team at the tournament. So if we can use some headers, maybe we can get past Japan. I'm looking at players like Azmoun. These are the type of guys that are gonna have to step up, man, or the defenders too.
Yeah.
Um, it's all gonna be down to tactics at the end of the day, which I don't think we have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so obviously that's the quarterfinal if we do get there. The other side of things on our side of the bracket is Qatar against Palestine, Uzbekistan against Thailand. So if we do get to the semifinals, we will play one of those four teams. Anyone have any thoughts that who could it be if we get to the semifinal? Anyone thinks just now if you can pick somebody, Qatar, Palestine, Uzbekistan, Thailand, Benjamin, Arya? Arya, go on. Doesn't matter.
oh um Thailand's been pretty decent. By the way, for everyone who doesn't know, they had like 5 days of training up until the Asian Cup. They had a horrible like start of like I guess you can say camp. They've had a lot of stuff going wrong for them, but they've actually been very solid this Asian Cup. Uzbekistan's been a little bit less good than I expected, but obviously they have their best player out. Qatar's been really good, man. Qatar's been really, really good. They showed some good strengths. And the other team, as you said, Palestine, which we did beat. Who are we going to be facing? That's a very interesting question. I would say Qatar. I think it's probably going to be Qatar, in my opinion. Them or Uzbekistan.
Yeah. Benjamin?
Yeah, the same as Arya. I think it's going to be Qatar, uh, with the home advantage and everything.
I think Uzbekistan look like a very strong team, though. Personally, I think they look like a very good. Oh, we'll see. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Moving on to fan questions. We've got quite a lot of fan questions. We'll go through as many as we can. We answered quite a lot of them, so we won't go through all of them, but we'll try to get as many as we can. We got one question um here from Twitter. It comes from at Conscious Flesh. He asks, considering Ramin's poor defensive positioning, as you mentioned, Benjamin, should we consider playing Salman Ghoddos as right back, which he has been playing for Brentford when we are defensive? Honestly, absolutely not. Because the reality is the only reason why our midfield is functioning right now, and we didn't really speak about Salman too much, but we come on to him really briefly now if you want. Someone played really well in this game. He was great. He had a really good performance, controlled the midfield. So did Side. We didn't really speak about him either. Both of them played really well. I thought they had a great game. Simple as that. Made really no mistakes in this game. Both Salman and Said. And I think the only reason why our midfield is functioning is because of Salman. Without him in the midfield, I'm going to use a bad word. You know what I mean? Because the reality is, I don't think we have anyone else to come in for Salman. Omid Ebrahimi, he looked very leggy, put it that way, at the end of the game against UAE. You can see he's 36 years old. He looks good on the ball, good passing, but it looks leggy. It doesn't look like he's going to run for us for 90 minutes like he did against Morocco, for example. Benjamin?
I totally agree with you. I have followed obviously Salman since he played in Sweden for a long time. And the thing Salman brings to the table in the team Melli now, especially on the midfield, is something that we haven't really had for a long time. If you see the build-up game, how he moves, and which spaces he occupies in the game, he brings something to the table that we can progress on in the game. You know what I mean? Because I think we have always had good midfielders, like in a specific action. Maybe we have the runners or we have a passer, but like someone can do a little bit of everything, and he's really comfortable with the ball. If you're going to play a team that's going to press us, and especially when we have Ramin in the right back, we need a player like Ghoddos, because you can't go and play against a team that press us and just throw the ball away in 90 minutes. You need to have players that can want to have the ball centrally, especially, so we can progress with the game. So for me, someone needs to play central in the midfield.
Well, to be fair, we haven't actually answered all these questions that I've got here. As I can see, there's one question we haven't answered, and it's from @mentality_YT. Do you guys like Hormasabzi or Game? Personally, I like Game. Arya?
110% Hormasabzi.
No
110%.
chance.
100%.
Benjamin?
I'm a Hormasabzi guy.
No, you guys are completely off your heads. Game is the best. Okay, let's end the podcast there. I really appreciate all the fan questions. Remember, we will do live spaces before and after the game on Twitter or on X. We will obviously update you on that. Make sure you're following us on Twitter or X again, Instagram, Facebook. We're also on other podcast platforms. We're on YouTube, of course, if you want to watch the video. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcast, of course, or other ones like Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. So please, if you have these platforms, be sure to follow us. Our website is gholizadeh.podcast.com. Guys, I really appreciate your time. Benjamin, thanks a lot for coming on your first episode. Hopefully we'll see you again. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Arya, good to have you back on again. Hopefully we'll see you on the episode again soon.
Yep, thank you so much for having me. Prayers up for my boy Moharrami.
Yeah. Nice one. Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you guys very soon. Take care.
Hi, my name is Masoud Shojai. You are listening to Gholizadeh podcast.